Welcome to episode 2 of the Punched Podcast, a corner of the internet where I get to say a lot about nothing. Now, I started last podcast talking about a lot of very depressing and down stuff, so we'll start with some really happy junk, and I'm gonna do my best not to spoil all this. I know if you don't want to hear anything about Half-Life Alyx, I understand if you are clicking away or not listening or skipping ahead, but all I'm going to say is that knowing how it ends gets me excited for what they're going to do with the Half-Life IP. Now, I don't want to say too much more, but this is more than an in-between. This game was more than just filling stuff in. Cough, cough. Now, I'm not going to make it any more obvious than that, but I'm excited, to say the very least. I don't have a VR headset, first of all. I did not play the game personally, but I did read how it ended, and from there, I had to go and see how it ended, so I watched a video on that. And I know a lot of people aren't able to experience it the way it's supposed to be experienced. I know a lot of people are going out and watching videos, so all I'm going to say is don't feel discouraged. Don't feel like that's bad. A lot of people can't afford VR headsets, and it really sucks that not all Half-Life fans can experience the wonderfulness that is Half-Life Alyx, myself included. But from the videos that I did see, from the gameplay that I have seen or experienced or enjoyed, I'm excited to get my hands on it, and I just absolutely love what they did with the story. Absolutely love what they're going for, or where they're going. I don't know. I'm gonna stop because I've played a crap ton of other stuff this week. The RE demo, I also unfortunately didn't play, but I figured it needed to be, what's the word? It needed to be brought up so that I could acknowledge it and let you guys know that I know it exists, but I haven't played it myself yet. My brother downloaded it. He played it right next to me while I was recording the gameplay that you're seeing right now, and I didn't want to pay attention whatsoever because I want to be completely blind when I play that game, or at least the demo, and it'll be fun on stream. But yeah, we've been what I have been playing, what I've actually gotten my hands on is Doom Eternal, which I know I said I wasn't going to buy, and Animal Crossing, which again I know I said I wasn't going to buy, but it went pretty decently for me at work this last weekend. Last episode I talked about how there is a stay-at-home order, or businesses can't be open, as in restaurants and bars and stuff. People can't come inside to restaurants and whatever it is, and that's where I work at. I work at my family's restaurant, so I figured that I was just not going to be working for the next couple of weeks, but I did have to essentially open a pickup counter, a pickup window, but really all I'm doing is going to the door, unlocking it, giving people food, grabbing their money, ringing them up, coming back, giving them their food, going back, washing my hands, and then taking more orders. It's a little bit more steps in the takeout process, but I think it's kind of it's pretty fun because it's still getting me tips. I think that's the whole point of me bringing this up is I know a lot of people out there aren't tipping, and I made a Twitter post about this. I was like, yo, if you aren't tipping people, you're an asshole, especially right now, especially during the times. But my point is that it went really well for me. It went really well for me tip wise, so I figured might as well do something to pep things up, to put a pep in my step, and I got a awesome rip and tear shredding demon game, and then I got my really cool chillaxing, laid back, gather a bunch of stuff and vibe out game as well. It's been a lot of fun on stream. I definitely have had a lot of fun going into other people's islands and stuff. I've been having a lot of fun going through the campaign of Doom, and come to think of it, I don't know if I got down on anything else other than Warzone, but let's talk about Doom Eternal for a little bit. I'm only about 2 chapters in. I'm only about maybe 3 hours into the game. It might be a lot different for everybody else, considering the various difficulties of the game, and I'm playing on the game's hard difficulty, quote unquote hard difficulty, which is ultraviolence or something like that. I forget the name, but it's hard. I've died several times, but I'm having a ton of fun with it. There's a lot to do. Now, I'm not trying to belittle... I keep saying now in this podcast. I should have an counter, a now counter, a I digress counter. I don't know. I might do that for myself and then post the results later on. Anyway, I'm only about maybe 3 hours in. Like I said, I have the ultraviolence difficulty, and I have been dying a crap ton. But the difficulty isn't necessarily how beefed up the enemies are, and don't get me wrong, they are a little bit smarter, if that makes sense. Smarter, more smart. Either way works, I'm pretty sure. Either way is grammatically correct. What I keep trying to get out is that Doom 2016 was a pretty much straight up, point and shoot and jump and move around the arena and jump and shoot and kick and glory kill and rip this dude with your hands apart. And Doom Eternal is very much in the same line. Doom Eternal is very much in the same vein of thinking, but there's more to juggle. So the different abilities that you get, like, let's say the chainsaw has its own fuel, but it's used for other resources. The same thing with setting demons on fire, not people. Well, some of them were people before, and then they get demonified type deal, but that has nothing to do with anything. You set people on fire to get armor, so that's pretty cool. Then you use the glory kills, which are the melee kills, in order to get health. And it's just a balance of that so far. It's a balance of gaining resources with the means that you have. And you don't want to stop at all. It's definitely one of those games where you want to keep on moving and want to keep on shredding through demons and stuff in order for you to get what you need. And that's essentially what Doom 2016 was, but with the added resource management, with the added way of getting these specific power-ups. Not power-ups, that's not the word. With getting the specific resources, I know I'm sounding super redundant, you need to use other resources, and that in itself provides a depth that wasn't present in Doom 2016. Now, I'm getting it out of my system so I don't say now again. It looks incredible, the game looks wonderful, it's up there with Doom 2016. It's the only other game that I can compare it to, because there's really nothing else out there aside Dusk that has the type of gameplay that it has, but there's nothing else out there that runs the way Doom does. 2016 had incredible frame rates, it looked wonderful, everything was seamless and smooth, but there's another level of that smoothness present in Doom Eternal that really just gets me going. It feels a lot more slicier. I mean, the brutality is still there, the crunchiness of smashing stuff is still there, but there's a genuine tear and slicing feeling through using your arsenal of weapons, and all I have so far are the shotgun, the one that shoots out super fast, and then it's like a half rifle, half assault rifle type deal that I have. And I'm more than positive I'll get much more in my arsenal, but for the time being, just mastering the stuff that I already have is definitely occupying my time, and the resource management is making it feel a lot less of just mindless killing, and I love that. I also love the fact that there's more of a story this time. You did get a campaign in Doom 2016. There is something to follow. There's lore there if you look for codexes and whatnot. But for the most part, Doom guy's just kind of like, I don't care. Screw you. Like, whatever. Just say whatever you need to say so that I can go and kill demons. And he has that exact same attitude in this one. But it's hilarious because everyone is like, yo, help me, Doom guy. And then the demon dudes are like, what, you can't do that. It's preposterous that this guy would kill these demons, or the priest, or whatever. Everything that I'm saying was within the first 2 hours of the game, so no worries on spoilers there. But the air of Doom Guy is there. He's not giving a crap, and it works so damn well with the over the top campaign that they're trying to push. And I also like that the codex entries in this one aren't super extensive. There are page long ones, but they get to the point. They give you the information that you want, and it's less cryptic, like, oh, and then this guy did this, or there's a prophecy. And then there is prophecy, they do talk about it, but it's so obvious that it's Doom Guy. Just like in any other game, right? That it's obvious that it's the main character, but it's prominent in a way where it makes it almost comedic because of the tone that it's given to you in. So, Doom Eternal, Doom 2020, I guess you could say, is very much worth the buy so far. I got it off a third-party site, and I unfortunately had to wait for a refund, and that sucked ass, so I suggest just purchasing it directly through any retailer that won't make you wait days on days upon days for you to be able to play your fucking game. The other game we've been playing on stream is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Wow, such a crazy ass contrast, right? I know, it's fun. I can't begin to tell you how much I've been smiling and how much my face hurts from just like my cheeks pulling back and having a great time by collecting crap and just building crap and then making my dude look super adorable. Now, I haven't done too much. I've visited a couple of other friends' islands. I've had experiences with fish and people swatting away those fish like assholes. There's also been other things like the tarantula coming out at night and knocking me the fuck out. That bastard. I haven't been able to catch one yet. They're too fast. And then there's also the flippin' wasps. Don't get me wrong with the wasps. They're easy to remedy when it comes to like biting you and stuff because it drops it, as in trees. So if you shake trees, you're gonna get fruits, you're gonna get sticks. If you chop the tree, you're gonna get wood. But if you shake trees enough, sometimes they'll drop like a wasp nest and a bunch of wasps. And you use the wasp nest to make medicine in order for your face to not look messed up. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm referring to. I don't want to make it seem like Animal Crossing is terrible either. I feel like all I'm talking about is my terrible experiences. I've had awesome ones too, don't get me wrong. But there is peril within the Animal Crossing universe that you must be aware of. And I'm sure most of you know about Animal Crossing and the native fruits and the neighbors that you get to start your town with or whatever. And this one, it's an island. So I had to restart maybe 4 or 5 times in order for me to get peaches. I started with like cherries and then oranges, and then I got pears like however many times before finally getting peaches. And you're wondering, like, why go through all of that crap when you could eventually plant all of the fruit on your island? Well, let me flipping tell you, jerks. I love ass. I can't help it. I'm sorry. Butts are awesome. Like, and then fruit is great. So when you combine both of them, fucking peaches and ass, that's what they look like, is peaches. Or fruit and ass is what they look like, is peaches. So I couldn't help myself. I restarted as many times as I could for the booty. And I ended up getting some pretty cool villagers with it as well, so that's pretty dope. I'm excited about that. I got the villager Cherry and the villager Hamlet, which Hamlet is a little hamster who talks about going to the gym all the time, but he's small and stubby, and I doubt he ever does. I don't think he's very athletic at all. And then Cherry is like a little goth dog who is very snarky. Damn, I might not keep that burp in there. But anyway, Cherry is a little snarky goth dog that likes to be a jerk to you sometimes. Not outwardly a jerk, not very much like, yo, you suck, but very tongue-in-cheek, like, heh, you're doing that? Oh, you're using an umbrella in the sunlight. Well, gosh, you must really like it a lot. Just little things like that. And I think that everybody has experienced the rudeness of Animal Crossing at this point, but getting back into the game after playing the one on the GameCube, it didn't take me off guard. It was more like, oh my gosh, they just said this to me in this game. They hurt my feelings. But then I remembered, oh, it's Animal Crossing. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to be tongue-in-cheek. It's meant to be like, hey, yeah. So I let it go. I didn't let Cherry hurt my feelings. Maybe a little bit. I got over it, okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Let me use my leaf umbrella in peace. But I'm pretty excited to see not what they do, but what the community does with all of the QR code stuff, with creating your own, what's the word? Patterns and junk? There you go, patterns, creating your own patterns. I think it's really cool that you can send them through through QR code. I think it's really cool that you can visit other people's islands just like any other ones. They didn't mess it up. I guess that's the best way to say anything about this newest Animal Crossing, is that they did their best to not make it suckish, and they added a lot of quality of life things. So I'll digress on the wonderfulness that is Animal Crossing. Man, I'm really digging today's episode. Super sorry if you guys aren't, but I'm really feeling it today. I'm really in the zone. And speaking of zones, wow, what a dope transition. I've been playing a lot of Warzone off stream. I've been doing a lot of that Call of Duty Warzone because it's free, first of all, and second of all, who isn't attracted to a new Battle Royale after it's been announced? It's like after every time that you get a new Battle Royale announced, despite the eye rolls of every gamer out there, of the entire gaming community, especially on Twitter. But this game, it's not like entirely special. There's not too much new to it. It's pretty much an amalgam of all the other Battle Royales that are out there right now within the Call of Duty mainframe or framework, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, you drop in like any other game from a plane, you pick a place, you pick up a crap ton of loot. The thing that, well, there's three things that I feel are worth it when it comes to Call of Duty Warzone. And one being the Gulag. I love the fact that when you die, you get sent to the Gulag, and then you could win your freedom back. You get to spawn back again. And if you die, your friends can still buy your life back. I think that's really cool that there's use of money. There's more to juggle there. Which leads me to the shops in the game. There's like shops and missions, so those are the other 2 points. But the shops allow you to buy armor. They allow you to buy loadouts. It's cool that they give you the option to do more with what you find. And then lastly, with like the missions that you find on the map, you can do these things where you go and find other players, and that's a bounty, and that's how you get more money. You can go and find not treasure, but the chests. They essentially send you on a treasure hunt, and you have to go and find these chests that are around, and not only do you get an awesome amount of loot, but you get a pretty decent amount of money. And then the last type of mission there is holding down the fort, pretty much, where it's you go to an area and then hold it down for however long, and then you get money, you get stuff. It's not extensive, there's not a lot there, it's not super padded out, but for a Battle Royale experience, for you to have more to do than just messing around with other players, having more to do with the experience, I feel is the right way to go. I feel like that's where we should be heading towards when it comes to the mentality of a Battle Royale. And I also think the added cross-platform play, the added feature of being able to play with my brother on the console and my uncle on his console, but me being on PC is dope as hell. I think that's the right way to go. I know people will always complain about controllers versus mouse and keyboard, and I know there's always going to be people who will think that theirs is the best. I do feel like mouse and keyboard is the best. That's just how I predominantly play. But the fact that I can play with controller players, the fact that I can play with console peeps really has gotten my attention, and that's probably why I've stuck to Warzone as much as I have. Because let me tell you, dude, I have been on the craziest losing streak in Tarkov ever. Guess we're moving on to Tarkov now. The updates weren't as extensive. Damn, I keep saying extensive. The updates weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. They do kind of mess with single player players in terms of not being able to move as freely with a crap ton of stuff in your backpack, which makes a lot of sense. I totally get it. I understand entirely, but it's noticeable. And I feel like stamina runs out a lot faster when you're running. I feel like stamina runs out a lot faster when you're aiming down the sights. I do like the fact that I could turn around and aim at somebody whenever like my stamina's all the way gone, but I hate the fact that I have to reset it so often. And maybe I'm just bad. Maybe I'm just frustrated and not playing correctly, but I feel like this losing streak is almost accredited to the weight stuff, to the stamina stuff. Maybe I just need to get used to it, like I did the very beginning of the game. Like everybody else is getting used to it, but it is annoying. It is something that I've been dealing with. I've lost like 2 million rubles or something like that. So I've just been doing as much as I can in Warzone and getting that instant gratification. But that's why I like Tarkov, is how slow paced it is. And I mean, it can be a fast paced game, but it's more methodical. You definitely have to think about it more. There's more effort and thought into your loadout. There's more effort and thought into your playstyle, depending on how much thought you put into your loadout. There's different styles of playing, very much like any other game, but the amount of depth, the amount of detail in like the bullet distancing, the bullet drop stuff, the different attachments, the attachments for attachments. I've talked about all of this before, but that's why Tarkov has the goods. That's why Tarkov has that feel that literally no other game has right now. I'm just frustrated with it currently because I need to change up my playstyle. And maybe I'm just being, stupid. Maybe I'm just being a crybaby. But it's the reason I haven't gone back to it this week. It's why I've been stuck on Warzone and Animal Crossing and Doom. But that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Sometimes a break from the games you normally love is what makes you love them that much more. What's that saying? Absence make the heart grow fonder or something like that? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Thanks, Robin Hood. Damn, dude, now I want to watch Robin Hood. The cool Disney one. The animated one from way back when. Bro, let me tell you, man, that Robin Hood is badass. The best part of that whole movie is the little tournament that they have with the archery and stuff. And Robin Hood goes in disguise because the king knew for a fact that Robin Hood would never be able to turn down a tournament to show off like how awesome his archery skills are. I haven't seen that movie in a while. It's a nice trip down memory lane that I need to take, but instead I've been watching Outbreak. Not watching, but I watched Outbreak twice. Maybe I started it a third time, but I never finished it. I never finished it all 3 times. So with the restaurant closing, with my family's restaurant closing at night, sometimes we'll go and watch a movie on the big screen that we have. And because my grandmother isn't too tech savvy, because my grandmother herself doesn't have Netflix, we'll throw on like Netflix movies for her, and that's just how we spend, the night. Well, anyway, we put on Outbreak, and it wasn't like the movie was bad. It's not like it didn't catch my attention. I just didn't pay attention to it as much as I did the first time we sat to watch it. And I ended up leaving at the end of the movie, so I don't know how it ends. And then we put it on a second time, and I started noticing, I was like, yo, that's Dustin Hoffman. Yo, is that Rene Russo? Holy crap. Oh gosh, I can't with Kevin Spacey anymore, but the movies that he was in before knowing about that crap, I mean, there's a lot of them that are good. Outbreak is just an okay movie, and Kevin Spacey does get sick in it, so there's your solace. I need to know if he dies at the end of the movie. That's what I want to know. That's why I'm bringing it up, is because I put this movie on almost 3 times, did not finish it any of these 3 times, and it's only because I want to know whether or not he dies, and I never get to that part. But Outbreak is essentially about what's going on right now with COVID-19 and stuff. It's an older movie. I don't know if you can tell with the stars that I just named, but it's about a pandemic. It's about how they fight the pandemic and what they need to do. There's a lot of jargon, scientific jargon in it. They try to make it super smart, but the movie's incredibly campy, even if it is rated R. It's kind of like in the same vein as The Untouchables, where it's a rated R action movie, but it's also like gung-ho and campy and like, yeah, we can do it. Despite Outbreak having its scenes where it feels a little dreadful, the entirety of the movie does not have that tone. The tone is very, very campy. But yeah, other stuff that I watched, enough of that, sadness or whatever. Like I said, we put stuff on Netflix for my grandmother, and she had never seen Goodfellas. So I got to show my grandmother Goodfellas. I can't begin to tell you how awesome I felt being the one to show her, like, the gangster movie of all gangster movies. The only other one that might contend is Scarface, and I know my point is moot. You guys might have other gangster movies you might hold as the quintessential experience for gangsters, but in cinema, but mine is Goodfellas for sure. And I like The Irishman a little bit more than Goodfellas because it's not as kinetic, because it's not as fast moving. But that's a story for another time, because I don't necessarily consider The Irishman that much of a gangsta movie. Oh, anyway, I put it on for her. I put it on for my grandmother while at work, because she was there, if I'm going to be honest. Come to think of it, we have to have the door locked, and then, we take orders and all that other stuff. But in the meantime, I decided to put the movie on for her. I put it on in Spanish, put on the subtitles, and we were good to go. We were having a good old time. She was asking questions about the movie, as most elderly women do during films, because they get confused easily. Or at least my grandmother does. My grandmother gets very confused in movies all the damn time. She thinks I know everything when it comes to whatever we're watching or whatever we're doing, and it's like, yo, grandma, I'm learning with you. I know I've seen Goodfellas like 100 times, but my point is that she does that in every movie. And I was able to explain little things here and there. I was able to, like, give her enough to keep interest in the movie, because it's a long movie and we had other stuff to do, but I wanted her to stay there and chill and not worry too much about the business. And it worked. She liked the movie. She did ask her questions about who this guy was and what they did and how they're connected, and I had to remind her which characters were which, but I liked the fact that I could do that, because it's one of my favorite movies ever, and just being able to share the experience, just being able to have that with my grandmother during times like this was very much needed. It was very, very much needed. I almost forgotten the importance of family, and it just feels good to be able to show even someone that age something new. I might sound like a jerk-ass for saying this, but it helped me out having this movie on for my grandmother, because I could do my job. Now, my grandmother owns the restaurant, so she's normally there micromanaging, and it's not that big of a deal. But because all I was doing was to-go orders, her micromanagement was really, really frustrating me. It was getting to the point where I was like, I'm literally in the middle of doing what you're telling me to do. And normally I could just brush it off. Normally I'm just like, yeah, sure. No, yeah, you're right. I gotcha. But with everything that's going on and the added scariness of this illness, this COVID, whatever it is, it was getting to me. So being able to put the movie on, being able to do my job, being able to have a generally chill atmosphere at work helped me out, really helped me get through it. So thank you, Netflix. Because let me tell you, even though I have that normalcy of being at work, it is getting weird, because the regulars that I have come through on a weekly basis, the people that I'm used to seeing and serving and smiling and all that stuff, people who are nice to me, I have to prevent from entering our building. And that feels weird. I have to give them their food outside. I have to make them pay outside type deal. And it's just an odd time right now. It feels like a movie. It feels like the stuff that we've been talking about. It feels like the stuff we make fiction. But there's no promise in whatever structure that we have staying the way it is. No matter what we do, no matter how we set things up to have rules and try to make sense of whatever life is, it's never permanent, it's never set in stone. And something like an illness, something like a natural disaster, something like a meteorite coming from outer space could happen at any time. So whenever that normalcy is disheveled, whenever that normalcy is broken, I think that's the time to make the best of it and make the most of it whenever you can, with whatever you can. So still being able to provide this service for the regulars, for the people that come through, is a good feeling. It's just the way in which we're doing it makes it feel weird. Makes it feel like Outbreak, like that movie. But I'm gonna digress because there's other stuff to talk about. There's cool junk that I watched this week outside of Goodfellas and Outbreak, like that wonderful Westworld. Yeah. Westworld probably won't be our future. Maybe the distant future of Westworld will be our future. Cough, cough. Ending of season 2. Cough, cough. You're gonna be getting spoilers for maybe like the next 4 minutes for season 3, episode 2 of Westworld, and I'm gonna do my best to keep this as concise as possible. But I'm not gonna be vague. I know I tried being vague last episode, but it just didn't sound or feel right, and I didn't get to communicate exactly what I wanted to about the episode without revealing stuff that's vital. So, season 3, episode 2 of Westworld, it was all Maeve. It was all Maeve. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, right? Spoiler alert for the next couple minutes. Well, anyway, it was all Maeve. She wakes up in Nazi-occupied Italy. She speaks Italian. Flippin' Hector is there, has a weird different name, and when she wakes up and is in this new narrative in this other part of the park, she's like, alright, awesome, I have control again, I can do all this crap, I can get out of here. But she starts to notice inconsistencies in the world around her. She starts realizing that certain people aren't recognizing her, and she attributed to that being a part of whoever reprogrammed the bots that she knows, if that makes sense. But after noticing the inconsistencies of Sizemore, who I fucking love that they brought back, I was really hoping that he was alive, that was genuinely Sizemore, but she notices in the way that he was written for the narrative that she's currently experiencing, which is getting out of the parks, that she's not in the real world. We see Maeve in the Matrix, essentially. Maeve straight up overloads the simulation she's in by overclocking it. So she asks one of the other people that are in there, quote-unquote people, because none of it's real, it's like a digital world that they've entrapped her in, and we don't even know who it is, because at the end of the episode, it's Sirach, or whatever his name is. Isn't Sirach alcohol? Or Sarek? I think his name is Sarek. Whoever it is that controls Rehoboam, whoever it is that locked out the dude that Dolores is getting at, if you even understand anything that I'm saying. So what's happening right now in Westworld Season 3 is Dolores is out there trying to construct some type of plan to execute some type of plan to retaliate against the humans. But the caveat there is it's not just the humans, it's the terrible humans, it's the bad people. Because we see her liberating, quote-unquote, liberating some woman with a murderous husband. Because he makes him kill himself. And what we've seen with the other hosts, with the other cyborgs, with the other bots, or whatever you want to call them, is that they're doing whatever they can to pool their resources together to stop Dolores. And where we picked up on Maeve from last season to now is that we thought she was in the Valley Beyond or something like that, like something along those. No. She was gunned down trying to save the other bots going into the Valley Beyond. And her waking up in this episode, we assume that she's still in the real world and that we assume that she's still in Westworld, but it's actually this Sarek guy's simulation. And the Sarek guy had a partner that they built this one supercomputer of that essentially runs the happenings of every human. So in the park of Westworld, everybody has a path, everybody has a narrative. Rehoboam does that in the real world. It tracks everybody and keeps the society going. It keeps the system going. And Rehoboam has detected that Dolores's spontaneity is what's making it go crazy, is what's making it kind of like putting its finger in its collar and going, ugh. That's what it feels like. I mean, it's an inanimate object, so I wouldn't know. Whatever it is Dolores is setting up, whatever it is the writers are setting up for the other bots and the new Jesse character, it's not Jesse Pinkman, but Aaron Paul's new character is exciting. We didn't get any Dolores or Aaron Paul or much of the outside world in general, but we did get a little bit of the outside world because we meet this mysterious figure at the end, because Maeve does end up escaping her Matrix world. Maeve in the Matrix. That might be the title of this episode. It just sounds dope as fuck. We meet this guy who the directors talk about at the end. Or not the directors, but the producers. And they give you stuff on his character and a little bit of his backstory. But my point that I'm trying to make is the area that he's in. The producers were very excited because they used an architect's remodeled old school factory for this dude's living quarters. So apparently there's this architect that found this old factory that was falling apart and made it his own, made it his life, or his living quarters, his house. And it looks beautiful. It looks like a mixture of an old world being taken over by a new one. Everything is rusted and, falling over, but it also feels new because there's a little bit of green here and there, and it's comfortable. And now that I'm saying it out loud, there's this eeriness to the duality of that specific scene and the detail that they're putting into that warehouse, and just the themes of the show in its entirety. It's pretty cool. Come to think about it, actually is very deep and smart and very scholarly. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. I was going to talk about UFC, but there were no UFC fights this last weekend. I mean, COVID is, affecting so many damn things, but hopefully they don't cancel the Khabib and Tony Ferguson fight, because it would be dope to see Khabib lose for once. Khabib look human, which he never does. He's an actual machine. Will roll you out no matter what. But Tony Ferguson is wild enough and a funky striker, is this really dope, versatile fighter. So I'm excited to see both of these two styles match up together. They've already tried to do it like maybe 3 times already, so hopefully they don't reschedule it a 4th time and we finally get to see the fight we want to see. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for sure. This has been a fun episode. This was awesome. I loved recording this one. I don't know if you guys could tell, but yeah, that's gonna do it for episode 2 of the Punched podcast, where I got a lot to say about nothing. I'm Pika Punch and/or Cesar. You can find me at Punched Podcast on Twitter, and then you can find me at Pika_Punched over on Twitch. You guys have been wonderful. You guys have been great. Thanks for listening all the way through to the end, and I will see you in the next one.